Alrighty. Oh, looks like we are live. Hello. Let me just turn that down a little bit. Hello. 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 Hi. There we go. Welcome, you guys. Hello, Evie. Jay, Fred. Yay. Hi, guys. Hello, Britt. Kim. Long time no see. Welcome. Let me just adjust this guy a little bit to make sure that we are good. Hello, Katerina. Hello, hello. Welcome. I hope you guys have a fantastic Sunday so far, wherever in the world you may be. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is greatly appreciated. I am looking forward into diving into another live Q&A. Started here in just 2 quick moments. Sorry, guys, I'm just looking over the settings really quick. I'm currently out of town, so I want to make sure nothing's wonky since I don't have my usual settings. Ooh, you have an update. Yes. All right, everything's looking good on my end. If for any reason there's audio issues or anything like that, just feel free to let me know, but we should be good. Intend for all to be good. Welcome, you guys. Let's go ahead and jump in and let's get started because today may be a little bit of a shorter Q&A session, unfortunately, since I do have to hit the road here before my usual. I've been enjoying the longer Q&As, and next week we will absolutely go back to a longer Q&A session. But just for today. So with that said, let's jump in. I am excited. I am so excited. A couple quick announcements before we jump in. Yes, the waitlist is opening back up for one-on-one coaching. If you have signed up for that waitlist, and you have not received an email, it is perhaps because I'm going in order of obviously who signed up first. And there's only a couple openings available, but that will be an ongoing thing. As more spots open, I will be reaching out. So if you have signed up for the waitlist, I will reach out to you once your spot is available or once the opening becomes available. But with that said, I have something really cool and exciting to announce. I just launched a brand new course, Manifesting a Specific Person Masterclass, and it's a 5-week long course on everything that I did, including everything that I discovered step by step. It's the most comprehensive Manifest SP course I have ever made. Tons of things and resources for you guys in that, including guided audios, hypnosis, plenty of workbooks, guides, all around giving you as many of the tools as I can to help you on your SP journey. If you're interested in learning more, you can definitely check out the description box. I do have payment plans available, trying to make it available to as many people as possible, no matter what. So check it out down in the box if you're interested. But with that note, let's jump on in. So we got plenty of questions rolling in, so let's waste no time. Good morning from Texas. Good morning. Can you please talk about healthy detachment? Yes, and that's a really good question because I know there's a lot of confusing information around there when it comes to detachment. When I speak about detachment, when Neville Goddard detachment from the fears, the doubts, the longing, the missing, right? And instead moving yourself and attaching the desired state of consciousness. So moving from the state of, fear, doubts, limitations to the state of peace, acceptance, and love, right? That state where you are already with your SP. And that's really the biggest distinction. Detachment does not mean that you have to give up what you want. It does not mean that you have to give up your desire. It doesn't mean you have to let go and hope for the best or find something better. It doesn't mean anything like that. Because I know, at least in the law of attraction, those are along the lines of thinking when it comes to detachment, but that's not the same thing when it comes to the law of assumption. So detachment is a natural process. You will inevitably detach from that state of lack and longing and wanting. That's naturally going to happen. And it's nothing that we can do by force. It's something that will come naturally as you continue on this journey, as you continue to imagine yourself. So I hope that makes sense. It's not anything we do by force, right? It's something that will naturally come about as you continue to imagine. Hello, Mindset with Sally. Oh, Evie's got a. May I ask you a doubt? I find it very difficult to visualize or feel the wish fulfilled when I feel low. I feel low most of the days as my 3D. This is a good question. So, what do we do if we find it difficult to visualize or do any sort of technique to live in the end, right? What do we do if we're feeling sad or anxious and we cannot seem to capture that feeling of living? And first, I would say that's normal. That's normal. And for many people, it is going to feel incredibly challenging to live in the end, to imagine that state of the wish fulfilled from feeling sad, when you're feeling mad, when you're feeling angry. It's going to feel particularly challenging from that place to live in the end, to feel that love and feel that satisfaction and feel that feeling of peace, right? Or whatever comes with that. It's quite the leap to make. So the first thing that I would do if you're feeling sad, if you're down, if you're feeling low, is to just in that moment take care of you and just focus on whatever you need to do to get yourself back into even a neutral state, even a state of, you know, just feel okay. You don't even need to feel happy to then move into the wish fulfilled, right? So if you're feeling anxious, for example, I would utilize some exercises or techniques to help you alleviate that anxiety, whether that be breath work, whether that be, activities that you may enjoy that help you to feel better, going for a walk, gardening, listening to some good music, just anything that will help you to put you in a better mood or in a better place. And I would do these things first, right? Before trying to go to the end in imagination. Or just if you need to get out those emotions, if you need to have a good cry, if you need to be angry, if you need to punch a pillow, then do that, right? Do that. Get it out of your system, whatever the frustration, the sadness, whatever you need to do, just get it out first. You can always come back and revise that. You can always come back once you are feeling better, because from there, then you can more easily access already feeling good or feeling okay versus feeling sad. Uh-oh. Am I having audio issues? One second, guys. Am I having any audio issues? Let me see. Oh, hello, Vivian. If it's lagging for anyone else. Yeah, the hotel probably. I mean, the Wi-Fi here unfortunately isn't fantastic. I've got that hotel Wi-Fi. Um, it probably is the internet signal. Hmm. Oh, hmm. So for some people, it looks like the audio is. Hmm. Some people, it's looking like the audio is fine. Nobody's having any issues. Some people are saying that it's lagging. If it is lagging, try stepping out and coming back in again and see if that helps. Um, I do apologize for that. I do apologize if, yeah, the internet signal here might is probably not that great. Um, yeah, yeah. Try hopping out and hopping back in again if that helps. All right. I'm sorry about you guys. Across the country, circumstances don't matter. No, no, circumstances never matter. Never matter. It may look impossible on the outside. It may look like not going to happen for whatever. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. If you're asking me to move to the other side of the world, doesn't matter. Don't let that deter you. Oh, forgiveness. When the relationship broke up and you are manifesting him back. Old story versus new story slash everyone is you pushed out. Absolutely. Um, yeah, and I've made a couple of videos touching on this topic. If you type in the YouTube search bar, Missy Renee, change your story, I definitely go into more detail in those videos. But basically, if we're having difficulties with the old story, if the old story is still predominant, if we're noticing memories coming up for us that are not ideal, what we want to do 100,000% first and foremost is revision. We want to revise. Revision is forgiveness. That is how we ultimately, I mean, it's not the only way to change that story, but it is an incredibly helpful way to change that old story. So imagine instead things going the way that you would have wanted it to go. Change that script. You can completely rewrite that script if you absolutely revise. If you're having a lot of 100,000. Hi, Misty. Since creation is finished and everything already exists, good day. You too, David. Thank you. Thank you. So, have I manifested them? I have seen and encountered younger versions of people. Well, specifically, um, for example, of my grandmother. That's that's a story within itself. To answer your question, yes, I have seen and imagined and have met younger versions of people, and I talk a little bit about I forget what video it is. I keep getting the titles of videos. Because I have over 200 videos, but I do talk about in one of the ones where I a state where that person exists at a different age, basically. Yeah, yeah. I know it sounds completely wild, but oh, I wish I remember the name of that video. Damn it. It's one of the ones where I speak about worlds within worlds, but to answer your question, yes. Yes, I have. I'm struggling with the no free will concept. I understand what you were saying, but the part I have trouble with is accepting that someone can then assert their will over me. Thank you. Um, I'm maybe confused with the question, Jay, but n- nobody can assert their will over you. I mean, it can appear that way, right? We are able to give our power away. That is possible, and it is wins for a lot of people, but it's not the case that somebody actually has authority over you and there's nothing you can do. You are the operant power. In your reality, through your lenses and in your experience, you're the one that has final say. Every that has final say. Every come to it's a difficult one to accept because of how conditioned we are with this idea of separation. I get it. Everyone as you pushed out is a very bizarre concept, but nobody actually has the authority to override your say or override your will. And no, no, nothing like that. Hello, Priscilla. Hi. Hey, Missy. SP finally reached out. Yay! We chatted, exchanged numbers, and he called. It went well. He even floated the idea of visiting. Since he sent a few, hey, how are you, Ted? Um, but then get these, sorry, it's cut into, but then get these non engaging responses. I'm happy to see movement, but our communication seems to dry up. What would you do? Thank you. Good question, Cam. And first, I am happy too to see that there was movement. That is wonderful to hear. Um, and I know it can be incredibly frustrating when we see movement and it seems that movement or it slows down. Um, Unfortunately, it happens and it's very frustrating when it does. But why that happens and typically what goes on there is at some point we started to turn our attention back to the 3D, right? In those instances where you start seeing movement, but then it sort of, you know, stops or it seems to slow down, it's 3D, right? Um, uh, because of course that's habit for us to do so. But instead, make sure to when you catch yourself doing that, when you catch yourself looking to the 3D, when you catch yourself starting to say, where are they? What's going on? Why aren't they messaging me? Like that's we need to catch ourselves. We need to catch ourselves when that's happening. And because that's all feedback, right? That's all feedback as to where our focus and attention is, right? And especially if we're reacting to that, if we are feeling into that, right? So we want to catch that. If you notice that movement is again, you're putting emphasis on the 3D. You're starting to look to the 3D again, right? So what do we do when that happens? We go back to imagining. We go back to our imaginal acts. We go back to the ongoing communication or going even further, right? Going to reconciliation, being back together, and you continue to go there in your imagination, no matter what, no matter what, no matter what. And it does take some practice. It does take some getting used to not react attention to the 3. If it starts to slow down, I know it can feel incredibly disappointing when that happens, but we got to turn the attention away. Take the attention off the 3D, focus, fix the focus and attention only on seeing that end result in your mind. And you will continue to see movement. Hi, Misty. I'm revising a recent 3-week holiday with my SP that was enjoy or more powerful just to visualize my desired future with him. Thanks. Good question, Lucy. Um, and the short answer is if there are instances from that trip that were not ideal and it's very and you're upset by it, I would revise. I would revise. I know for some people they might think that revision is redundant because why can't we just go to the future and imagine a better outcome in the future? And we can, but the thing is, past doesn't stay in the past. Especially if we're having a lot of that are not ideal, a lot of internal fighting, right? When we have those internal dialogues where we're fighting with our person from the past, arguments that we had, things like that. If these are things that are coming up for you, I would absolutely revise those because seeds that are being planted, right? Um, and it may feel more difficult with those memories, with those non-ideal memories. It may feel more difficult to live in the end in the future, right? That said, if you're in a where you're not having any bad thoughts or memories from the past, if you're feeling in a place where you're okay now, then continue to imagine the end. Continue to imagine. But if it's still bothering you, if it's still coming up, I would revise it. I personally I would. Oh, is the connection breaking up? Ah, damn it. Damn it. Mm, that's so weird. It's really hit or miss with hotels. Sometimes the connection's fine, other times not so much. Mm. Am I still lagging, you guys? Can someone tell me if the lagging is still really bad? Not lagging? Okay. Okay. It's not a lag, a few of your words are getting chopped out. That's weird. So it's just the audio? I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm just trying to. It's spotty. Yeah. Oh, I I may have to cut this one short. I know how frustrating it can be if there's lag, and I know it can be difficult to follow. Um, damn it, that sucks. I do apologize, you guys. Maybe a screen recording would do. I know it'd probably be better, like, if anyone does have access to a desktop, that will probably help considerably versus a phone or an iPad. But, maybe not everyone has access to a desktop at the moment. Um, all right. Let's go ahead and keep trying. Maybe the internet will get better. Hang on. All right. Well, available on your channel anymore. Is it accessible everywhere? Yes, so the revision meditation is back. Um, YouTube put ads in the middle of it. So I had to reach out to them and say, "Hey, bring can you take the ads out because it's a meditation." And having ads in the middle of a meditation is not going to be helpful. So once that gets sorted, I will absolutely be bringing it back. No worries. And that'll get sorted here shortly. No worries. I manifested my SP reaching out to talk, but not what I wanted to hear. So what if there's a third party that is friends or a therapist of SP that is making him think he is good without me? Don't assume that. Don't assume. No, we want to take the attention away from a friend or a friend of SP or the therapist is saying that they're not good for you. No, 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 no. You decide. You decide which reality to experience. You decide. Has any power or say over that. You decide. Don't accept that. I'd rather be here and have spotty legs than you cut it short. Oh, thank you, Tracy. Thank you. I'm so glad that meditation was helpful for you guys. You learned to visualize. Can you talk about how you learned to visualize? Unfortunately, I barely see anything when I close my eyes. How did you improve your visualization skills and how long did it take? Good question. Good question, AH. And I was the same way. I've talked a couple of times about how I used to be terrible with visualizing. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see anything. So I feel that pain. What I just with visualization exercises. I started with simple exercises, like for example, I would take something like an object that was nearby, something that was distinct, and I would just get as clear of an image of it. Like I would try to trace all the details, pay attention to all of the details of, you know, what I was holding, what I was doing, to all of the details of, you know, what I was holding, what I was doing from the first person, right? So I'd see myself holding this object and I just see everything that I could about, you know, like all the dimensions, all of the senses that can go into it. And then I would just try to recreate as much as I could in my mind. Now, at first, it was not easy to do so, but bit by bit by bit, I was able to start getting clearer definitions. I was able to start seeing a little bit more. That image would get less fuzzy, more defined. So things like that. You can also, if you were to Google visualize that, you can also, if you were to Google visualization exercises, there's different types you can do, like with a candle, an apple, different things like that. But I would just start with like sitting where you are, just taking an object, holding it, and just taking in all the definitions from first person and then trying to recreate it in your mind, and then see how you did when you open your eyes again. Is there anything that you missed? How did it turn out? And it's just one of those things like exercising our body, right? I need to practice, but with practice, you are absolutely going to get better. What part of the country are you? What part of the country am I in? I am in California on the West Coast. Hi, Missy. I just started practicing SATs. Is it normal to feel tearful slash sad at first when imagining a scene with SP? Um, it can. It can. Depending on what your scene is. We might have emotional moments in SATs, yeah. I wouldn't say it's uncommon. Um, but I would get clear if if the maybe dig into a little bit of why that is, right? Maybe try to reflect or meditate on what is it that is coming up for you, or how does this scene, how is it invoking this reaction, and what might there might be something there that we haven't been consciously aware of. I would just start to dig around a little bit and see why that is. But it's not uncommon. No. You spoke about imagining. Is it okay to imagine things out of order? E.g., some days I imagine reconciliation, other days I imagine our 5-year anniversary or a heartfelt conversation. Yeah, absolutely. I mean that's kind of what we do anyways, right? I mean, if you think about in our day to day, we're constantly skipping through different timelines. We might be thinking about something that's going to happen 5 minutes from now, something that happened yesterday, something that's going to happen a year in the future, something that happened a month ago. We're all over the place. Like when it comes to our natural imaginal acts, we do unconsciously anyways. Yeah, we don't just imagine in a linear fashion. So yeah, it doesn't have to be in order if it doesn't feel natural to do so. Um, What might and if I manifested the same thing twice? Could it be a small sign that I'm moving to an abundance mentality? I mean, so if you're noticing that you manifested the same thing multiple times, I take that as a good indication. I take that as a good indication, right? You're able to consciously and deliberately do the same thing twice. I mean, if anything, that kind of goes to show or helps to build your trust that this isn't coincidence, right? Like, what would be the odds that that would be coincidence twice? Yeah. How do you know if you are practicing the wish fulfilled enough, or if you, or if this is question is how to know if you're doing it right versus if it's just the bridge unfolding when we don't see movement? Um, the best way to tell is our reactions, our unconscious or just subconscious thoughts and reactions in our day to day. What state predominantly are we occupying in our day to day? Those, like your reactions, your natural thoughts, the natural moods and feelings that come up for you is going to be the best gauge, because that is literally how we know what state of consciousness we are occupying in any given moment. right? So what one of the biggest, if not the biggest things that we're aiming to do on this journey is to start to gauge based on how we're feeling, how we're reacting versus what's happening on the outside, right? Like, no, no. You'll know how you're feeling on how you are reacting, on the thoughts that naturally come up, because all of those things are the byproduct of the state of consciousness you occupy. And whatever dominant state, especially, whatever state you are in more often than not, like that's predominantly where your thoughts and reactions and feelings and moods are going to be stemming from. So basically, you gauge by the internal world consciously, not consciously. Da, da, da. I'm trying to see my settings really quick. Not as bad on the desktop. Yay. Girl, your hair looks great. Thank you. Thank you, Life. I'm persisting, living in the end, feeling neutral, unsatisfied, and overall expectant. When I notice 3D, because I do, I notice no movement and no contact. I know it's done, but why? I know that's the $1,000,000 question, right? Right. And so, I mean, of course, we're going to observe that the 3D is not matching up with our imaginal acts initially, right? We're going to notice that initial time period where it's not matching up. There's no movement, right? Like we can't not literally be aware of that. But the idea is you want to get yourself to a place where you are not perturbed by that. You're not moved one way or another because of that, right? If we're still getting worked up about the 3D not conforming, we're we're not living in the end. We're not. We're not. This play cool just so I can get the 3D change. Like, no, we want to become this person in our imagination and continue to go back to that in imagination and continue to feel it. Because what that's going to do is naturally put you in that place where you're not going to be moved by the 3D one way or the other. You're going to feel and know that it's done. So if there's still reaction or there's still like, why is it not here yet? That's an indication. We go back because the truth is we don't know when. We don't know the when. We don't know the appointed hour, right? So in that sense, I mean, the more that we are reacting to non-movement in the state. So I know it's one of those things that feels incredibly frustrating, but take it as indicating, this is how, this is my cue, so to speak, that I need to go back in imagination. I need to go back there and bring myself back into that feeling state, right? And I know it is frustrating, but the more that we continue to react to that 3D, it's only delaying it. What do you think about this or something better, or specific versus general? So I've never, I don't a more fearful place. If we really think about it, this or something better. It's basically for if you are not convinced, right? If you are unconvinced, if you feel scared that it's not going to happen, but again, this is me personally. If it works for you, if it helps you to feel better, I mean, at the end of the day, the feeling is the secret, right? But I'm not okay with that. Maybe like we do know we want, them, and our desires are gifts from God that we are meant to experience. So, yeah, I'm not personally a big fan of it. That phrase, this or something better. I mean, I know it sounds, but it to me, it just sounds like you need to be okay with having. No. And specific versus general, I mean, absolutely. If you feel like it's a challenge to believe, or if there's a lot of resistance to a specific thing that you're trying to manifest, then do try to take a step back and go a bit more general, right? Because the subconscious mind knows what you desire. I mean, we're not going to fool ourselves. Like, subconsciously, we know what we want if there's something specific there. So if you need to go a little bit general, um, to help you get used to this new state, that's fine. That's fine. But don't go into this thinking like I need to give up something I want specifically because it doesn't feel believable. Like, don't use that mentality, right? I mean, do what you want to do, but that's just my 2 cents. Manifesting multiple things. Should it be one at a time, or is it possible to manifest for multiple things? Absolutely. Yeah, we can manifest multiple things at once. I mean, in fact, that's what we're doing all the time. We're always manifesting multiple things because we're always manifesting, right? Um, and for me personally, the easiest way I've found to do that uh, is something like, "Isn't it wonderful?" Right? Something that is a general feeling state, feeling of satisfaction. Like, if you could condense into one feeling in one word, what it would be like if you had everything that you wanted, and capture that feeling, and then just let yourself marinate in that feeling. That's "Isn't it wonderful?" Or the lullaby method, as it's sometimes called. Um, Now, if there's multiple specific things that you want, you can do that too. You can you can conjure a sun vacation in a luxurious place, which implies money plus SP, for example. Yeah, but there's multiple ways that you can do that. I've found the most natural way for me is something like the lullaby method. Isn't it wonderful? But you can also you can create a scene that would imply having multiple want to, and that's going a bit, that's almost redundant to do so. Was trying to manifest something. I visualized and assumed and many signs I was going to be successful, and then the manifestation failed slash the opposite happened. I am so sorry to hear that, RD. I'm so sorry to hear that. And I a lot of people have experienced similar things to what you are explaining. Just earlier, I was talking to somebody who their manifestations seemed to be slowing down. Momentum was seemingly decreasing, and I know how frustrating that can feel. Um, want to do is react to it and start to get really frustrated and mad, of course, right? And if we need to, that's fine. But one thing that absolutely becomes apparent on this journey is that the 3D doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter if it looks like the whole thing blew up. It doesn't matter if it looks like everything went completely crazy. It looked like it took a sharp turn into something terrible. You can always turn it around. You can always, always, always turn it around, right? So, why that happened, I couldn't tell you exactly, but we're always planting seeds, right? Like whatever we are reacting to, imagining, whatever's becoming subconsciously impressed, accepted subconsciously is going to become outpictured unless we revise it. Um, so this is why self-observation is so important, right? So we can see why things happen the way that they do. So we can get clear on why, like if something does take a sharp, why that is or what happened. But regardless of why it happened, how it happened, you can always change it. You can always change it. Like we don't just stop manifesting. We never stop manifesting, right? So I would say to that, if it looked like there was movement and then it just stopped or the opposite happened, do not accept it. Don't accept it, right? Revise what you wanted, revise that, and do not accept it. Put yourself back in the end. Put yourself back in the end. Continue. This is really about that. We want to stop looking to the 3D as the gauge of if it's working or not. The gauge is in here. The gauge is how we feel. The gauge is what we are reacting and believing and assuming and how we're acting, our thoughts, all of those day to day. Whatever happens in the 3D can be changed no matter what. No matter what, no matter what, no matter what, no matter what. So I would continue to just do not accept it, continue to see, continue to imagine the outcome that you would have wanted. I could not tell you how many times I it looked like something terrible had manifested or something stopped or something failed. Like so many times it looked at the 11th hour. That's happened so many times. Do not accept it. If it's not what you want, it's not the end yet. So keep going. Hello, hello. Hello, April. Welcome. Oh, I hear coaches saying act as if, but I don't know what certain feelings feel like if I never experienced it. That is a really good point. And a lot of people have challenge like it can be challenging to imagine something we've never experienced, right? Understandably. And I would say that we don't have to like literally try to lie to ourselves or try to act to the point where it feels delusional. I wouldn't go that far. But we do want to practice putting ourselves in the place of what it would be like in that reality, right? Get clear on the desired reality and then put ourselves there and continuing to do so. And if you haven't experienced it before, you can always get an idea in your mind, right? So let's say, for example, I wanted to be married, right? I don't know what that's like. I've never done it. I've never experienced it. Well, I have an idea of what that would be like, though, right? If we were married, we would be living together, presumably, presumably sharing the same bed, presumably doing activities, right? Perhaps we would, find uh, we'd have special passions and interests that we would do together. right? Start a foundation. I mean, you can go subject to their, but you can start to picture what it would be like to be married, right? Most nights would be sitting on the couch with them watching movies, Uh, right? Doing their laundry, like doing laundry and seeing their laundry included with it. So even if we haven't experienced it, we can get an idea of it. And that is because our imagination is limitless. We can literally go anywhere and do anything. And even if it's something that we have not experienced, doesn't mean that we cannot imagine it. We just may need to get a bit more detailed with that picture and just assume what it would be like, right? Assume, say, if I want to be a millionaire and I've never been a millionaire, well, I can presume that I would have a nice house, right? That I would, have a nonprofit or a charity. I would have, uh, you know, whatever you want to call it. I would see myself on a private jet. I'd see myself traveling all over the world. So I can get an idea of it. I can get an idea of it. And you can do that with anything. So just because we haven't experienced something personally does not mean that we don't have the capability to imagine it. And this kind of goes into the synthetic imagination, the creative imagination. If you have not seen that video, watch that video. And that goes for everybody in this chat. If you have not seen where I break down the two types of imagination that we have, watch that video. Because as adults, we don't, most adults do not exercise that creative imagination muscle nearly as much as we should, anywhere near as much as we should. And just like exercising a physical muscle, it's going to take some building up and some practice, but we can always create a picture or get clear on what that would be like, even if we haven't personally experienced it, right? So that's sort of what we mean to like help us to tap into that feeling because it makes sense. So even if we desire something we haven't personally experienced, doesn't matter. You can still go there in your mind because we can imagine literally anything. If it's more enjoyable to explore your new self, be more effective than isolating it to one single act that feeling of being that self. Yes. Yes. So would it be more effective to explore your new self through a series of events, through multiple different scenes or interactions? Yeah. If it's more enjoyable, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We don't have to, perhaps it just doesn't feel like anything. If it feels better to imagine a series of cool events or what you would do, what you'd be getting into, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's more how our mind works naturally, right? We're always imagining multiple things throughout our day. We're already doing that. All of us are already doing that. Unfortunately, most of those things we imagine are not great. That's the only difference. That's so we're taking and instead of picturing and entertaining and thinking about these worst case scenarios, it's things that are more ideal instead. But it's the same thing that we're always doing. So yeah, Tracy, short answer is yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yo, how often do you think to do a sad scene? Once or several times? Good question, Dancing Cloud. Um, you may only need to do one scene one time and it's captured, right? Like you imagine it, you feel it, boom, it happens. Um, Other times it may need a few more goes at it. So I would continue to imagine. I would continue to do SATs until you reach place of satisfaction, or it's going to feel like you don't need to do it anymore. It's going to feel like you don't something has been impressed. It's done. There's no need to it, and you're not going to feel a need to do it anymore. I hope that makes sense. Hello, Chi-chan. No worries. I came on way earlier than usual today. I know. No worries. Yay, good. Yeah, hotel Wi-Fi can be totally. Um, I should try to make this. I should try to make this one up for you guys. Perhaps do another. You know, if I have time in the next couple of days, I may try to schedule some time in there. I know a lot of people had some breaking up issues, and I do apologize for that. But let's see. Oh, oh my God, Courtney, that's awesome! Ah, congrats! Congrats! No worries, girl. Congrats. How come my scenes come true when I do it once and forget it and go about my days like I normally do? So why do your scenes only come true when you only do it once and then forget what we normally do? I mean, not every time, but think about things that happen to you in your day to day, right? You have a thought, you may not even give it that much attention, and then you drop it and you forget about it, and that's when it happens. Same thing here. We're just wanting to get to that place where we don't have any inner conflict, right? So if I'm battling this idea that I can have my person back, it's not inner conflict anymore. So I don't have this resistance anymore, right? Um, but yeah, we can imagine something once, forget it, drop it. Bashar says just imagine it once, then forget it because infinite spirit knows what you want. So just chill. Yeah, that's it. And that was kind of the idea. Like my last video was trying to emphasize that we don't need to overcomplicate this. Like we don't need to overthink this. We don't need to put a lot of willpower. Your consciousness is God. The subconscious mind knows what you desire. It knows what you want. It's not gonna fail you. I can manifest money easily, but people and relationships are a struggle. Yeah, yeah. For a lot of people, different aspects of our lives are going to feel different degrees of challenging. Like, finances and money and work may be a total breeze for us, right? Because we already believe that we in common. And I would, if there's anything specifically holding it back there, I'd maybe try to see what that is. You know, why are what may be there acting as resistance, acting as a sort of backlash, so that you can revise it. I am state. Do we stop feeling? Yeah, yeah. When you reach the I am states, it's going to feel like you have no boundaries. Like it's a feeling. Like you are definitely not going to feel like you are. It's pretty wild. It is absolutely pretty wild. I'm just getting. I need to cut this one a little bit shorter. As long as our loved ones have, and I do apologize for the tech issues. I will make this up to you guys, I promise. But I do thank you all so much for being here and for joining me. I hope you were able to glean something from this. Again, I will be home next week. This one will not have any issues like this going forward. But on On that note, I want you guys to take care. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. Much love to all of you the rest of your Sunday. And don't forget how powerful you are. I'm serious. I'm watching you. Take care, guys. Bye.